Let me tell you why you're here. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. But I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.
Got room for one more if you still want to go to Aspen.
You love me! You really love me!
There is a God.
Disclaimer. To the Pharisees and Karens out there,
How dare you!
all guests on this show do not reflect the opinions of the host. The purpose of this show is to have interesting conversations, stretch our minds, and grow.
Not what we want!
If you are looking for an echo chamber, viewer and listener discretion is advised.
You talk about extreme.
If knowledge is a crime, we were guilty from the start. They don't fear the questions, they fear the spark. So we steal the fire, not to rule, not to reign, just to see through smoke and mirrors and call peace by name. They call it dangerous thinking, they call it heresy.
Hey guys, what is happening and what is up? Hold out that glass, baby, because you know what time it is. We about to fill it up. Welcome to the Prometheus Lens Podcast, the place with the conversations are always enlightening. I'm your host, Doc Brown, and here we like to use the allegory of the Prometheus Lens to take a second look at everything. Hey guys, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the Hero's Journey. Please be sure to hit that like button and smash that subscribe button. And hey, while I got your attention, please check out this banner down below with all of our social medias at their various platforms. That would be much appreciated. Well, man, guys, it's Sunday fun day. It's that time again. Time for the family to gather around the table, around the fireplace, and let Doc tell you a story and soothe you to sleep and get you ready for those Z times, man. This very southern drawl, I've been told, kind of lulls people to comfort. You know, not boredom sleep, but comfort. So, hey, I'm here for you guys. I got you. Oh, man. But shout out to Pam. Thank you so much for that, sister, for donating and helping out and contributing to the show. I appreciate that so very much. Thank you. Excuse me. I'm having a malfunction. Can you guys still hear this music? Let me know in the chat. I pushed the button to turn it off, but I'm still hearing it. I don't know if that's something on my end or if you guys are hearing it also. If you give me a little feedback, help a brother out. But I don't know if I'll be able to talk through the show if this thing's still going off in my head like that. Let me try to turn it off again, for me anyway. No, it just plays it a double. Let's see. I don't know how I'm going to get rid of that. There we go. We'll just do it manual. How about that? We'll do a manual slide. Well, guys, I hope everybody's doing okay. Let's get everything fixed here now. Now, I can actually hear myself think instead of that just blaring in my head the whole time. I can do it for the intro, but I can't do it for the whole show, guys. Man, I hope everybody's having a good weekend. I've had a good weekend. If you guys want to share some cool stories or something cool that happened, please feel free to do so in the chat. But whether you want to hear about mine or not, I'm going to tell you anyway because I was excited. But me and my girlfriend, we had bought tickets to go see Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20, and it was at the local casino down here in Bristol, Tennessee. And I'd never been to a casino or gambled before, but back in January when I went to go on the Sean Kelly show to record, I went down there with my buddy Steven from the Biblical Hitmen and Jesse, so shout out to those guys. They took me to a casino down there and kind of showed me how to play roulette, and that game's a lot of fun. I can see how people can get carried away, but it's like I had this premonition. I told the guys, I was like, is 13 a black number? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, I'm going to play that. I just got a feeling. I got a feeling about that number. And I walked in with $80 there, and I played for maybe an hour, and I ended up hitting big on black 13 and won $600. And I was like, oh, cash me out. I'm done. So this was my second time going to a casino, so I told Amy, I was like, let's get there a little early. I said, maybe I can play a little roulette. And she was like, okay. And we walked in there, and I got ID'd for the first time, so that made me feel good. But we sat down, and I thought it was a $15 table, and I gave them $60, and they changed me out, and I went to bet. He was like, oh no, it's 25 minimum. And I was like, oh crap. And I started to get up because I thought that was too steep. That was too rich for my blood. But I was like, I'm already sitting here. I'll play once or twice and see what happens. And first bet, I kid you guys not, I put 25 on black, 25 on black 13. First roll, black 13, $600 hit. I mean, as soon as I walked in the door, I was like, cash me out. I'm done. And then me and her went and watched a really good concert from him. I had a good time. But I will say my only negative comment is he's still putting out music. So of course he played his new stuff. So I was from the Matchbox 20 era. So he played a handful of stuff from the Matchbox 20 era, but I would have enjoyed it a lot more if there was more songs that I knew and could sing along with. But what about you guys? I know you guys are close to around my age group. Do you guys remember the Matchbox 20 days? What was your favorite song? I had several, but I really like that one they did with Carlos Santana, Smooth. Yeah, that was a good one. The guitar riffs on that's pretty sweet too. Oh, hold up a second. I seen somebody comment and said the music's still playing. Is that an old comment? I hope it's an old comment. I can't hear it. I slid the slider down. I might just turn it down for me. Is the music on, guys? Is that an old comment that I read? Because I don't want to sit there and try to read and that music be playing, you guys struggling to hear me. I want to get that cleared out the way real fast. Pam, she says, I liked them, but I don't remember any of the songs. Yeah, I'm sure, like 3 a.m. That was one of their hits, you know. She says it's cold outside. She hands me the raincoat. She's always worried about things like that. And then the chorus, he's like, yo, it's 3 a.m. It must be lonely. Anyway, sorry. I'm sure you didn't want to hear me singing, but yeah, they got some great tunes. Check them out. Go take a trip down memory lane, be nostalgic. Well, guys, this week we are picking up at a pretty cool little section. We are starting off this time with Nimrod and going into the Tower of Babel. So this is I thought that was a pretty interesting point to stop at last go around. I was like, okay, this will be a pretty good little cliffhanger. We'll cut it off here and give them something to look forward to. All right. Okay, no music. Awesome. Sweet, sweet, sweet. All right. Well, if you guys are ready without further delay, we can go ahead and get started and get into the meat of the matter. Oh, and I'm sorry. I like to preface each time, if you are new to this channel and new to this study, hey, welcome, guys. We do this every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this is a study and read-through of Louis Ginsberg, Legends of the Jews. And I tell people this is not canon. This is not thus saith the Lord here, so let's kind of, suspend our fences and just read this as it would be fiction. That's what Dr. Michael Heiser even said we should do with the Bible. Read it as though it were fiction. That way you are suspending all of your filters of what you think you believe and what you think you know, and just accept what it's saying, because I think it's important. It's one of those things that shaped their culture, their worldview. It was their legends and their mythology, so it kind of gives you a little peek behind the curtain of the people of the time, and it's just interesting. It's all the cool stuff that we like to look into, so why not? And this is a 6-book series, so we'll be doing this for a little while. I think this is the 12th session, but I want to keep doing this every Sunday, even after we go through these books. I wanted to get into Jasher, Jubilees, some of these other, books and legends and things like that. They're kind of overlooked. So this is something that we will look forward to and continue to do for a while now. Now, I will get everything adjusted over here. Just give me a moment, and we'll get into the reading. Oh, and I missed the button last time, so, hey, but if you are here, I just want you to know.
You have chosen wisely.
You have chosen wisely. All right. Sliding everything over. Thank you, Chad. So glad I looked down there. Okay. All right, we'll back up. Okay. The only thing I said was I was thinking about maybe doing this study and maybe inviting a guest or something every once in a while. I said it'd be pretty cool to be reading this stuff and have like a Gary Wayne on, or a Derek Gilbert, or someone like that has the, the big brain, and we can go through this and study it together. It's not something I do all the time, but I think it would be cool. But give me your opinion. This is your show. If you guys would enjoy that, let me know down in the chat, yay or nay. And quickly, I said it earlier, but I was muted. Rookie mistake. But hey, I just switched screens. I didn't think it would mute me from switching screens. It normally doesn't do that. Dealing with spiritual warfare this evening, folks. That damn devil. But if you haven't done so already, guys, please hit that like button. That helps the channel grow. If I'm watching a show or something more than 30 to 60 seconds, I try my best to remind myself, hit that like button, help that algorithm. Same thing with the comments. If you drop a comment down in the comment section while we are live, that really helps because it shows engagement. It triggers engagement to the algorithms. It's like, oh, must be really good. People are engaging with it. I'm going to share it to more people. So if we're going to party, let's, my old man said, if we're going to do something, let's do it right. Let's get a bunch of people in here. And we'll be like, what was his name? Alice Cooper from Wayne's World. He brings up all that history, and he's like, did you know Milwaukee means land of the whatever, and it was from the native people? And he starts talking all and tells it to him, and then they look at him and they're like, oh my gosh.
Does this guy know how to party or what?
Hey, let's show him. Us Bible nerds, we know how to party, y'all. All right. We will get started. We've had a lot of rookie mistakes and spiritual warfare today. Music wouldn't turn off. Mike's getting muted on me. All right, without further ado. All right, Nimrod. The first among the leaders of the corrupt men was Nimrod. His father Cush had married his mother at an advanced age, and Nimrod, the offspring of this belated union, was particularly dear to him as his son of his old age. And I mentioned this in the book. That's the same kind of language that you get about Joseph. Joseph was the child of Israel's old age, whom he loved exceedingly. He gave him the clothes made of skins, which God had furnished Adam and Eve at the time of their leaving paradise. So here's those garments, guys, those supernatural garments from the Garden of God. And some of the legends say this was the actual skins of the Nakash, the coverings of the Nakash. And anybody new to the channel, I take the belief that his coverings, his skins, was described in Ezekiel 28. Every precious stone was your covering. Beryl, onyx, topaz, jasper. And basically they're just describing the priestly ephod. This was the birthright. Okay. Cush himself had gained possession of them through Ham. From Adam and Eve they had descended to Enoch, and from him to Methuselah, and to Noah, and the last had taken them with him into the ark. When the inmates of the ark, that's funny, it talks about them like they're prisoners, the inmates, when the inmates of the ark were about to leave their refuge, Ham stole the garments and kept them concealed, finally passing them on to his firstborn son Cush. Cush in turn hid them for many years. When his son Nimrod reached his 20th year, he gave them to him. These garments had a wonderful property. He who wore them were both invincible and irresistible. The beasts and birds of the woods fell down before Nimrod as soon as they caught sight of him and arrayed in them, and he was equally victorious in the combats with men. The sources of his unconquerable strength was not known to them. They attributed it to his personal prowess, and therefore they appointed him king over themselves. So here I think we get a pretty good demonstration that this was, the birthright. It told Adam in the beginning he was given dominion, and he named the beasts, so he had dominion over them. So here, this is the birthright that was stolen, and now it's basically either literally or symbolically and or both, showing that Nimrod is now the king of creation and everything is submissive and bowing to him. And some theorize that this is how Noah got the animals onto the ark, because he had the garments and they listened to him. Okay, continuing on, it says, this was done after a conflict between the descendants of Cush and the descendants of Japheth, from which Nimrod emerged triumphant. Having routed the enemy utterly with the assistance of a handful of warriors, he chose Shinar as his capital. Thence he extended his dominion further and further, until he rose by cunning and force to be the sole ruler of the whole world, the first mortal to hold universal sway. As the ninth ruler to possess the same power will be the Messiah. And this goes back to, I've talked about it, Perk d'Eleazar, one of the Jewish rabbis, talked about the 10 Kings prophecy. And it was the seed war. You had the good line of Cain, the righteous line of Seth. They were fighting for the birthright and dominion and control over earth, and that it would pass back and forth between the two. There would be enmity between the two. So there'd be this push and pull, fighting over the birthright, the dominion of earth. And it says that Jesus comes back, and he's the ninth ruler, but then when he brings heaven down to earth, he shares that throne with his Father. So that's the 10th and final one, according to his writings. Okay, we'll continue. It says, his impiousness kept pace with his growing power. Since the flood, there has been no such sinner as Nimrod. He fashioned idols of wood and stone, and paid worship to them, but not satisfied to lead a godless life himself. He did all he could to tempt his subjects into evil ways, wherein he was aided and abetted by his son Mardon, which I always thought was very similar to Marduk. So I wonder if Nimrod, according to the legends and stories, Mardon falls in battle. So I wonder if maybe to venerate his son, he deified him as Marduk. Just a thought that I've had reading this. It could just be a total nomenclature. It could be just something that they sound similar and nothing more. But interesting. This son of his outstripped his father in iniquity. It was their time and their life that gave rise to the proverb, out of wicked cometh forth wickedness. Kind of like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. The great success that attended all of Nimrod's undertakings preceded a sinister effect. Men no longer trusted in God, but rather in their own prowess and ability, an attitude to which Nimrod tried to convert the whole world. Therefore people said, since the creation of the world, there has never been one like Nimrod, a mighty hunter of men and beasts, and a sinner before God. And not all this sufficed unto Nimrod's evil desire. Not enough that he turned men away from God. He did all he could to make them pay divine honors unto him. So he deified himself. He set himself up as a god, and made a seat for himself in intimidation, and as a seat of God. It was a tower built out of a round rock, and on it he placed a throne of cedar wood, upon which arose, one above the other, 4 thrones of iron, copper, silver, and gold. So let's see here. Okay, cedar wood, one above the other, 4 thrones. Okay. So I wonder if that could symbolize the four corners of the earth. He had total control, maybe. What do you guys think? Let me know. Okay, continuing on, it says, crowning all upon the golden throne lay a precious stone, round in shape and gigantic in size. This served him as a seat, and as he sat upon it, all nations came and paid him divine homage. Let's see here. I got some exclamation points beside of these. And, oh crap. And that usually means I got notes. Here I got a note that says, this is quite the throne. Sounds like Daniel's vision too. Then that large stone above the throne sounds like the Arkenstone from Lords of the Rings. That's what I said. It reminded me of the Arkenstone. Okay, and the other one was, I guess, an accidental note. There was nothing inside of it. All right. Now we have the Tower of Babel. We got some highlights in this one too. Okay. The iniquity and godlessness of Nimrod reached their climax in the building of the Tower of Babel. His counselors had proposed the plan of erecting such a tower. Nimrod had agreed to it, and it was executed in Shinar by a mob of 600,000 men. The enterprise was neither more nor less than rebellion against God, and there were three sorts of rebels among the builders. The first party spoke, "Let us ascend into heaven and wage warfare with him." The second party spoke, "Let us ascend to heaven and set up our idols and pay worship unto them there." And a third party spoke, "Let us ascend into heaven and ruin them with our bows and spears." Many, many years were passed in building the tower. It reached so great a height that it took a year to mount the top. A brick was therefore more precious in the sight of the builders than a human being. If a man fell down and met his death, none took notice of it. But if a brick dropped, they wept, because it would take an entire year to replace it. So intent were they upon accomplishing their purpose that they would not permit a woman to interrupt herself in her work of brick making when the hour of her travail came upon her, labor. Molding bricks, she gave birth to her child, and tying it around her body with a sheet, she went on mounting bricks. Man. Slave drivers, man. What is it they call that? Nowadays, they give you the time off for a pregnancy. What do they call that? Family leave or something like that. Yeah, no family leave back then. Nimrod was a jerk of a boss. They never slackened in their work, and from their dizzy height they constantly shot arrows toward heaven, which returning were seen to be covered with blood. They were thus fortified in their delusion, and they cried, "We have slain all who are in heaven." Thereupon God turned to the 70 angels who encompass his throne, and he spake, "Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech." I'm going to stop right there because I want to bring out this point. Something I learned through, secular stuff, like Graham Hancock. There's so much layers in Scripture and all this stuff. And we have literal stuff, we have esoteric stuff, and there can be multiple things right at once. So that's something that really, aches me when you hear people. It's like, no, this is what this means. It doesn't mean this. It means this. And it's like, well, let's be theologically honest here. The best thing we can say is, this is our educated guess on something with the gathered evidence, and this is my opinion of what it means. But this is, the Word of God. God's very deep, and I'm sure His Word is also. It can have many meanings. But what I was getting at is that number 70 there, where it talks about the other shooting the arrows, and God told his 70 that encompassed his throne. Well, if we go through Scripture, we see that 70 is a symbolic number. It means, totality, the all, the 70 nations. There was more than 70 nations, but it was symbolic, saying all the nations. Gideon, he didn't have 70 sons. It was saying all of his sons. So this was a symbolic number of totality. And interesting enough, I got turned on to the ages through Graham Hancock and his, what was that little documentary, Ancient Apocalypse, and laid out a pretty good theory that sounds pretty solid to me, that the Sphinx facing Leo was, showing, it was like a timestamp showing that this monument was made during the time when the rising sun was in the constellation of Leo the Lion. So this original lion in the middle of the desert was facing the rising sun during that time, and that's why it took that shape and form. It was like a timestamp, commemorative type thing. But he was saying that basically if you look at it, if you're looking at the earth from up top looking down, so it looks like a disc, and you have a time clock, well, each second hand, I guess you could say, there's 70 of those to get through a certain house, an astrological house. There's 70 degrees. So, and he didn't say this. I kind of made this connection when he brought that up. I'm like, I wonder if that's because of all the 70 that you see in the Bible, especially like with the divine council, the 70 nations, the 70 sons of God. Jesus sent out his 70 from Mount Hermon to take back the land that was distributed at the Tower of Babel, that sort of thing. And makes kind of sense too, even astrologically, because when you go to Revelation, I think, well, it says it. I don't think it says it. That all those things happening in Revelation 12 are signs in the heaven. So this was astrological. So it says, behold, a virgin clothed in the sun. That's the constellation Virgo, the virgin, clothed in the sun. So the sun is inside the constellation, in the womb, basically. And it says 12 stars upon her head. Well, the constellation Leo has 12 stars. And it says with the moon at her feet, and the dragon laying in wait to devour. This is the constellation Hydra. And in that story it says his tail sweeps down a third of the stars. But when you look at the constellation Hydra, where its tail is, there's a significant lack of star clusters there. So it kind of correlates to that story. And also in Revelation it talked about, well, actually all throughout Scripture, but you hear that God's throne is on the firmament of earth, and his footstool, his train, goes into the temple. But in Revelation it describes his seat, and that around him was the 24 elders, and then you had the 4 cherubim. And when you look at the symbolism of those 4 beasts named, those are the 4 cardinal directions of the Babylonian zodiac. And we know during the time of Jesus, they were tracking 12-hour days. Because in a parable, Jesus says, there are not 12 hours in a day. So it shows you they were aware of that kind of time. So I think it was Mike Heiser in his book. I think it was. But he was talking about that. He said that he believed that it was saying that right at the beginning, God's kind of telling John to tell the people, hey, it's about to get chaotic. But rest assured, I sit on the throne and I'm in control. So God is on his throne on top of the firmament, and he's surrounded by time and then the 4 cardinal points of the zodiac. So he's in the middle of space. So his throne sits in the center of all time, space, and matter. And he's showing you guys, he is in control. So so much stuff that's interwoven into that kind of stuff that, and sorry if you guys have heard me say that before, you're already aware to it, and I rambled a lot there, but I think stuff like that's cool, and we see it in their belief system and in their scripture. So I wonder, could it be alluding to that here? He's in his divine council, and he talks to his 70. So I'll continue, sorry. Sorry, guys. It says, so thus it happened. Thenceforth none knew what the other side spoke. One would ask for a mortar, and the other handed him a brick. In a rage, he would throw the brick at his partner and kill him. Many perished in this manner, and the rest were punished according to the nature of their rebellious conduct. Those who had spoken, let us ascend into the heavens and set up our idols, and pay worship unto them there. God transformed into apes and phantoms. Oh, there's the wild man. Those who had proposed to assault the heavens with their arms, God set against each other so that they fell into combat. And those who had resolved to carry on a combat with God in heaven were scattered abroad over the earth. As for the unfinished tower, a part sank into the earth, and another part was consumed by fire. Only 1/3 of it remained standing. The place of the tower has never lost its peculiar quality. Whoever passes it forgets all that he knows. The punishment inflicted upon the sinful generation of the tower is comparatively lenient. On account of the rapine, the generation of the flood were utterly destroyed, while the generation of the tower were preserved in spite of their blasphemies and all of their other acts offensive to God. The reason is that God set high value upon peace and harmony. Therefore, the generation of the deluge, who gave themselves up to depredation and bore hatred to one another, were extirpated, root and branch. So I guess that means pulled up. That's a $20 word for pulled up, folks. While the generation of the Tower of Babel there's another one. Oh, that's another $20 word. And the generation of the Tower of Babel dwelling amicably together and loving one another were spared alive, at least a remnant of them. Beside the chastisement of sin, and sinners by the confounding of speech, another notable circumstance was connected with the descent of God upon the earth. One of only 10 such descendants to occur between the creation of the world and the day of judgment. It was on this occasion that God and his 70 angels that surrounded his throne cast lots concerning the various nations. Each angel received a nation, and Israel fell to the lot of God. To every nation a peculiar language was assigned, Hebrew being reserved for Israel, the language made use of by God at the creation of the world. So there you have the Deuteronomy 32 aspect, the dividing of the nations amongst the sons of God, and even says they casted lots, so they gambled over it, or they thrown chicken bones or dice, whatever type of gambling that they preferred back then. It might have been roulette. You never know. Let me check in with you guys in the chat. What's happening in the chat? We went through 2 sections. We are now getting into chapter 5 and Abraham. Yep, Pam, you're right. I think it talks about the people that rebelled were turned into ape men and things like that too. Okay. Rebecca says she watched a show where they thought they found the site, but it keeps continually sinking. hitting the bricks, man.
No way.
No way. Yeah, serious work ethic. I guess you're talking about the giving birth to children and tying them to their chest and keep building them bricks. So we'll get on down here. Oh, and I wanted to throw this out too for those that haven't read my book, because I talk about it too. Even there's some archaeology that kind of points to this biblical story too. I kind of go in more depth in the book, but excuse me. They found some stone tablets, and they called these tablets letters to the Lord Arata. And the Lord of Arata is basically the Lord of Mount Ararat. And this is where the boat was said to have landed, right? And so these stone tablets are from... Sorry, my dog's going off. But these were stone tablets, like correspondent letters back and forth from the king of Shinar to the Lord of Arata. And you got to think, this is hundreds of miles separating these people. So this would take, weeks to, write these tablets out or chisel them out and send the messenger. Several weeks, probably a month, would be gone reading this to the person and getting the response chiseled back down and returning back and delivering the message. There was a lot of time, effort, and stuff involved in this. It wasn't like picking up your cell phone and be like, hey, dude, you want to go hang out tonight? No, it wasn't like that. So they found that this king wrote this really long letter, and he's talking about how he had plans to build this great tower into heaven, and he wanted to dedicate it to the goddess Anana, and said that he wanted to build the grandest tower, and he even uses some of the biblical language to make a name for himself. And that he says that his hopes were that in finishing this thing, that Anana would embrace him there, have sexual relations with him there. And, he's just being all pomp and, all this stuff. And then he ends it with asking this Lord of Rata for his help in building it, because he was a good architect and he had access to precious stones and timber that this king needed. And so he wrote this big old long fanciful letter. Like I said, took months to get it there and back, and he gets a response back from the Lord of Rata, and basically it just says, what concern is this of me? So it's like a kind of a direct slap in the face, like, whatever, bro, do you. And they have come to some conclusions that they believe that this was Nimrod, and this was him writing letters to Noah in the mountains, asking for his help because he was such a grand architect. He built the ark, and he was the one person on earth that was an adult and lived long enough into the pre-flood world and had that pre-flood knowledge. So he wanted him to help him build this tower. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I discovered that. And for those, I know not everybody's into reading and maybe not have read my book, I wanted to throw that out there since it was pertinent to our study today. Okay, we will continue on. If you folks are ready. So this section is the section of Abraham. This is the wicked generations. 10 generations there were from Noah to Abraham, to show how great is the clemency of God, for all the generations provoked his wrath, until Abraham, our father, came and received the reward of all of them. For the sake of Abraham, God had shown himself long-suffering and patient during the lives of these 10 generations. Yea, more, the world itself had been created for the sake of his merits. His advent had been made manifest to his ancestor Ru, who uttered the following prophecy at the birth of his son Serug. From this child he shall be born in the 4th generation, that shall set his dwelling over the highest, and he shall be called perfect and spotless, and shall be the father of nations, and his covenant shall not be dissolved, and his seed shall not be multiplied, or shall be multiplied forever. It was indeed high time that the friend of God should make his appearance upon earth. The descendants of Noah were sinking from depravity to lower and lower depths of depravity. They were beginning to quarrel and slay, eat blood, build fortified cities and walls and towers, and set one man over the whole nation as king, and wage wars, people against people, nations against nations, and cities against cities, and do all manner of evil, and acquire weapons, and teach warfare unto their children. And they began also to take captives, and sell them as slaves. And they made unto themselves molten images, and they worshipped, each one of the idol he had molten for himself. For the evil spirits under their leader Mastema led them astray into the sin and uncleanliness. For this reason Ru called his son Surig, because all mankind had turned aside unto sin and transgression. When he grew to manhood, the name was seen to have been chosen fittingly, for he too worshipped idols. And when he himself had a son, Nahor by name, he taught him the arts of the Chaldees. They were known, stargazers and constellation prophecy type people, basically like magi. How to be soothsayers and practice magic according to the signs in heaven. When in time a son was born to Nahor, Mastema sent ravens and other birds to despoil the earth and rob men of the proceeds of their work. As soon as they had dropped the seeds in the furrows, and before they could cover over it the earth, the birds picked it up from the surface of the ground. And Nahor called his son Terah, because the ravens of the other birds plagued men, devoured their seed, and reduced them to destitution. So this kind of sounds like that parable that Jesus told about, casting seeds. Some landed on the stony rock, and some were, put on good soil, and some the birds of the air, stole away. So it's kind of mirroring that parable there. Okay. The birth of Abraham. Actually, let me go back real fast. I got an exclamation point here. Let me see if I got a note. Nope. I guess I went to make a note and I just forgot. AD8 squirrel kind of thing happened again. Okay. The birth of Abraham. Terah married Imtali, the daughter of Carnabo, and the offspring of their union was Abraham. His birth had been read in the stars by Nimrod, for this impious king was a cunning astrologer. And it was manifest to him that a man will be born in his day who would rise up against him and triumphantly give the lie to his region. And this is kind of like a repeating thing. That's why I think time, scripture, prophecy is, in cycles. You see it over and over again in types and foreshadowings. Because anytime someone important for God comes, you kind of have these little telltales. There's a sign in heaven, and some magi or kings see it, and then they try to crush out this seed, before it rises to power and takes them over. It's kind of some of these common themes that you see. So, continuing, it says, in his terror at the fate foretold him in the stars, he sent for his princes and governors, and asked them to advise him in this manner. They answered and said, our anonymous advice is that thou should build a great house, station a guard at the entrance thereof, and make known in the whole of thy realm, that all pregnant women shall repair thither together with their midwives, who are to remain with them when they are to be delivered. When the days of the woman are to be delivered, and the child is born, it shall be the duty of the midwife to kill it, if it be a boy. And there's another recurring thing, kill the firstborn boy. But if the child is a girl, it shall be kept alive. And the mother shall receive gifts and costly garments, and a herald shall proclaim, Thus is done unto the woman who bears the daughter. Well, see, that's what you call, good leadership. You entice them to make the right decisions, because I'm sure these women, right before they pop these things out, they have a yes/no box that they check if they want a boy or a girl. So, they incentivize the people that chose girl. Okay, it says, the king was pleased with this counsel, and he had a proclamation published throughout his whole kingdom, summoning all the architects to build a great house for him, 60 ells high and 80 wide. After it was completed, he issued a second proclamation, summoning all pregnant women thither, and there they were to remain until their confinement. Officers were appointed to take the women to the house, and guards were stationed in it and about it, to prevent the woman from escaping thence. He therefore sent midwives to the house, and commanded them to slay the men children at their mother's breasts. And if a woman bore a girl, she was to be arrayed in byssus, silk, embroidered garments, and led forth from the house of detention amid great honors. No less than 70,000 children were slaughtered thus. Then the angels appeared before God and spoke, Seest thou not what he doeth? Yon sinner and blasphemer, Nimrod, son of Canaan, who slays so many innocent babes that have done no harm. God answered and said, Yes, holy angels, I know it, and I see it. For I neither slumber nor sleep. I behold and know the secret things, and the things that are revealed. And ye shall witness what I will do unto this sinner and blasphemer, for I will turn my hand against him to chastise him. It was about this time that Terah espoused the mother of Abraham, and she was with child. When her body grew large at the end of 3 months of pregnancy, and her countenance became pale, Terah said unto her, What ails thee, my wife, that thy countenance is so pale, and thy body so swollen? She got fat and happy, dude. She's not pregnant. She answered and said, Every year I suffer with this, my lady. But Terah would not be put off thus. Oh, she's trying to lie to him to protect the child. He insisted, Show me thy body. It seems to me thou art big with child. If that be so, it behooves us not to violate the commandment of our god Nimrod. When he passed his hand over her body, there happened a miracle. The child rose until it lay beneath her breast, and Terah could feel nothing with his hands. He said to his wife, Thou didst speak truly. Okay, so the baby moved in the womb, so he couldn't feel her. And naught became visible until the day of her delivery. When her time approached, she left the city in great terror and wandered toward the desert, walking along the edge of the valley, until she happened across a cave. She entered this refuge, and on the next day she was seized with throes, and she gave birth to a son. The whole cave was filled with light of the child's countenance, as with splendor of the sun, and the mother rejoiced exceedingly. He had a similar event with the birth of Noah. He said that he had such a countenance that it glowed that his father even went to Methuselah. It was like, maybe my wife is laid with the angels. What's going on here? It says, the babe she bore was our father Abraham. His mother lamented and said to her son, Alas, I bore thee at a time when Nimrod is king. For thy sake 70,000 men children were slaughtered, and I am seized with terror on the account of thee. And he hear of thy existence, and slay thee. Better thou should perish here in a cave, than my eye should behold thee dead at my breast. She took the garment in which she was clothed, and wrapped it about the boy. She then abandoned him in the cave, saying, May the Lord be with thee. May he not fail thee, nor forsake thee. Okay. We'll finish up this one here before we call her a wrap. How are you guys doing in the chat? What are you guys thinking so far? I don't know how this may differ from, I think it's Jasher. Excuse me. But Jasher had a similar story, but it ends up with Abraham coming back and smashing his father's idols, and basically kind of like Daniel in the lion's den. They end up capturing him for smashing the idols and throw him into a furnace. And basically he makes it through the furnace. And out of fear, Nimrod gives him 300 fighting men, all kinds of goats and gold and all this stuff, and sends him away and just begs him, for God's forgiveness, and gives him all these things. And it kind of ties in later to the battle of the giant kings when Lot is taken captive, and Abraham, it says he takes 300 strong fighting men with him to get Lot back. And this was, strong fighting men, strong enough to kill, an army of giants, basically, or in the very least, some giants in there, but either way, a military force strong enough to go to war against giants and defeat them. And Abraham and these 300 men kicked their butts with no problem. So it makes you wonder if it's tied into this, these legends and stories, and could it be that Abraham had ties to some Gibor of his own, courtesy of King Nimrod. All right, chat. You're getting quiet on me. Is everybody awake? Is everybody awake? Hey, you guys. Are you with me? Are you with me? It's like you guys are drifting off to sleep, and all of a sudden you hear that Mortal Kombat kick in. You're sitting there spinning, and it's just... Finish him! Finish him. He's ready. He's ready to be knocked out, bro. We'll push on through. We'll get to this last section, and then we'll try to land the plane. But this is the babe proclaims God. It says, Thus Abraham was deserted in the cave, without a nurse, and he began to wail. God sent Gabriel down to give him milk to drink, and the angel made it to flow from the little finger of the baby's right hand, and he sucked at it until he was 10 days old. Then he arose and walked about, and he left the cave. And he left the cave and went along the edge of the valley. When the sun sank and the stars came forth, he said, These are the gods. But the dawn came, and the stars could not be seen any longer. And then he said, I will not pay worship to these, for they are no gods. Thereupon the sun came forth, and he spoke, This is my God, him will I extol. But again the sun set, and he said, He is no God. And beholding the moon, he called her his God, to whom he would pay divine homage. Then the moon was obscured, and he cried out, "This too is no God. There is no who sets them. There is one who sets them all in motion." He was still communing with himself when the angel Gabriel approached him and met him with a greeting, "Peace be with thee." And Abraham returned, "With thee be peace," and asked, "Who art thou?" And Gabriel answered and said, "I am the angel Gabriel, the messenger of God." And he led Abraham to a spring of water nearby. And Abraham washed his face, his hands and feet, and he prayed to God, bowing down and prostrating himself. Meantime, the mother of Abraham thought of him in sorrow and tears, and she went forth from the city to seek him in the cave, which she had abandoned him. Not finding her son, she wept bitterly and said, "Woe unto me that I bore thee, but to become a prey of wild beasts, the bears and lions and the wolves." She went to the edge of the valley, and there she found her son. But she did not recognize him, for he had grown very large. She addressed the lad, "Peace be with thee." And he returned, "With thee be peace." And he continued, "Unto what purpose did thou come to the desert?" She replied, "I went forth from the city to seek my son." Abraham questioned further, "Who brought thy son hither?" And the mother replied thereto, "I became pregnant from my husband Terah, and when the days of my delivery were fulfilled, I was in anxiety about my son in the womb, lest our king come, the son of Canaan, and slay him as he had slain 70,000 other men children. Scaredly I had reached the cave in this valley when the throes of travailing seized me, and I bore a son, whom I left behind in the cave, and I went home again. Now I come to seek him, but I find him not." Abraham then spoke, "As to this child thou tellest of, how old was it?" The mother, "It was about 20 days old." And Abraham says, "Is there a woman in the world who would forsake her newborn son in the desert and come back to seek him after 20 days? The mother responds, "Peradventure God will show himself a merciful God." And Abraham says, "I am the son whom thou hast come to seek in this valley." She replies, "My son, how art thou grown? But 20 days old, and thou canst already walk and talk with thy mouth." Abraham says, "So it is, and thus, O my mother, it is made known unto thee that there is in this world a great, terrible, living, and ever-existing God, who doth see, but cannot be seen. He is in the heavens above, and the whole earth is full of his glory." And the mother replies, "My son, is there a God besides Nimrod?" And Abraham says, "Yes, mother, the God of the heavens and the God of the earth. He is also the God of Nimrod, son of Canaan. Go therefore and carry this message unto Nimrod." The mother of Abraham returned to the city and told her husband Terah how she had found their son. Terah, who was a prince and a magnate in the house of the king, betook himself to the royal palace. He then cast himself down before the king and fell upon his face. It was the rule that one who prostrated himself before the king was not permitted to lift up his head until the king obeyed him to lift it. Nimrod gave permission to Terah to rise and state his request. Thereupon Terah related all that had happened with his wife and his son. When Nimrod heard this tale, abject fear seized upon him, and he asked his counselors and princes what to do with the lad. And they answered and said, "Our king, our God, wherefore art thou in fear by reason of this little child? There are myriads upon myriads of princes in thy realm, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, rulers of 10s, and overseers without number. Let the pettiest of the princes go and fetch the boy, and put him in prison. But the king interposed, Have you ever seen a baby of 20 days, walking with his feet, speaking with his mouth, and proclaiming with the tongue that there is a God in heaven, who is one, and none beside him? Who sees and is not seen? All that assembled princes were horror-struck at these words. At this time, Satan in human form appeared, clad in bloke silk garb. He cast himself down before the king. Nimrod said, Rise thy head, and state thy request. Satan asked the king, Why art thou terrified? And why are you all in fear on the account of this little lad? I will counsel thee what thou shalt do. Open thy arsenal, and give weapons unto all the princes, chiefs, and governors, and unto all the warriors, and send them to fetch him unto thy service, and to be under thy dominion. This advice given by Satan the king accepted and followed. He sent a great armed host to bring Abraham to him. When the boy saw the army approaching him, he was sore afraid, and amidst tears he implored God for help. In answer to his prayer, God sent an angel Gabriel to him, and he said, Be not afraid and disquieted, for God is with thee. He will rescue thee out of the hands of all thine adversaries. God commanded Gabriel to put thick, dark clouds between Abraham and his assailants. Dismayed by the heavy clouds, they fled, returning to Nimrod their king, and they said to him, Let us depart and leave this realm. And the king gave money unto all of his princes and his servants, and together they departed and journeyed to Babylon. Okay. So next time we'll pick up Abraham's first appearance in public. And I'll give you guys a good little glimpse or teaser, or maybe you might even call that a spoiler, of what happens there. And I could be getting my wires crossed. You know how it is. You read so many different things, you kind of get confused sometimes. What I told you guys might have just been in Jasher and not in the Legends of the Jews. I could be getting my wires crossed. I'm not wrong often, but it happens every once in a while, you know. The law of average has to kick in sometimes, guys. I kid. Well, let me check back in with the chat and see if anybody's chatting it up. Okay, Rebecca said she was awake. Oh, see, Black Ink is also awake. Rebecca says it reminds her of the Psalms. Out of the mouth of babes and suckling hast thou ordained strength because of thine enemies, that thou mightst still the enemy and the avenger. Yes. And I think it's, like I said earlier, to see the meta-narratives, the micro-narratives, the stories within the stories, and how these things are kind of, you know, recognizable by prototypes, you know, or cyclical type things. With a lot of the Messiah figures and important figures, you have a lot of kind of telltale marks. And one thing, I don't know if I've talked about it before, but I'm going to do a show on it in the future about showing how I believe with Jesus' coming and his ministry, there's so many mirrored images and contrasts, basically stacking himself up beside of Moses. There were so many similarities between those guys. You know, like we talked about tonight, there's a sign in heaven, and a male child prophesied, and to save their life, they flee to Egypt to be saved from this king that's trying to kill them. That happened with Moses. That happened with Jesus. They both pass through waters. One goes through the Red Sea, one is baptized in the Jordan, but when they come out of the waters or through the waters, they both go into the wilderness and are tempted by Satan. One is by 40 years and fails every single test, Moses, but the other, Jesus, is tempted and tested for 40 days, but passes every test. So there's just all kinds of cool little rabbit trails and similarities to go down and look at those. That I find those things just so interesting. Which we got a ways to go, but I think, which we'll definitely get into Enoch too, but I think Jasher would be a good one to go into next. And I've seen some of you guys, like Pam and some others, wants to go into Jasher next, and I think that's a lot of fun. I've not read that all the way through, and it's heavily referenced in my book, The Epic of Esau, because there's a lot of stuff in there that I pulled from. Yeah, I think you're right. In the book of Jasher, they give him a fake baby or something, don't they? They give him a baby from the handmaiden or something like that and hide away Abraham. And yet, and now that I think about it, they send Abraham to the mountains with Noah, and he's brought up in the ways of the Lord, according to the book of Jasher. Yeah, good point there too. Black ink. The Antichrist figure Nimrod here is always trying to stop the birth of the Messiah. Yes, that's another common theme. Herod did it with Jesus. Nimrod did it with Abraham. King Pharaoh tried to do it with Moses. It's another one of those repeating themes. And even Joseph. You know, we talked about last time, there's to the Jewish people there was two Messiahs, and Joseph was one. He was they called him Josiah ben Joseph, and his brothers turned against him and plotted to kill him and sell him into slavery and send him away. It's like one of those tricky pop-ups. You go to click something and it moves and jumps in front of your mouse. It's like, no, you sneaky little thing. Well, guys, man, I hope you guys are still enjoying this. I know there's quite a few humans that are part of the fam that are here every week, and I want you guys to know I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. The Fire fam. And we get together every week and hang out, and you guys get to read some weird, cool mythology and legends with me. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate it. I'm trying to think tomorrow, for those that are new, we do this every Sunday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. This is the 12th session, so next week will be the lucky 13th. But on Mondays, we also do a show at 8 o'clock Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we have a live chat also. You're more than welcome to come join us there. Next week, I think we have, or actually tomorrow, which is technically next week, we have Guy Anderson, a friend from across the pond. So we have another clash of the accents that you guys enjoy. And he gets into the Cabbage Patch Babies, Tartaria, and the Orphan Trains. So we got some cool, Tartaria, Lost Civilization conspiracy talk coming at you tomorrow, which was a really great conversation. Really enjoyed Guy. Guy was a really sweet dude, really knowledgeable guy. I really enjoyed the conversation. And he's, as Donna said this past week, he was another messy one. So he's one of us guys. He's one of the messy ones. He used to be a tattoo artist, and I think, which I don't know what it is, but he's got some kind of little tattoo right here in the corner, but his glasses kind of hide it. So he's definitely he's one of us guys. So I think you're going to enjoy hearing his research and what he has to say. If you like JT from JT Follows JC, they are kind of, you know, in the same lane there, but of course each person's a little different, has their own interpretations of things. So, but I think you guys will enjoy that. So please be sure to come out and check us out. I will share a reminder on our community here on YouTube, and if you follow us on social media, I'll definitely put a reminder up there, so you guys don't forget and you come and hang out, and we will pass the salt together. But hey guys, I love y'all, man. I hope you had a great weekend. Hope you have a blessed week going forward. And hey guys, just remember the difference between the known and the unknown is what, guys? Come on. It's the journey. So, good journey, guys.